So it's not for kids.
Seems like still so good in terms of its performance, even though it's a very upsetting scene to actually watch.
The Turtle Club scene.
That is exactly what I was thinking of. How did you pull that out of my head? Yeah. When he walks
seriously?
up and he goes like, "Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club? Turtle." Devastating. It's like, oh
no, be real with me. Are you yes-anding me right now, or is that literally what you were thinking of?
Of course I'm fucking yes-anding you. You really think I was thinking of the fucking...
No, because we've had some psychic moments recently.
Disguise when I was like literally just quoting Whiplash like 1 second ago.
Oh, I haven't seen it, so I didn't know you were quoting it.
Well, I didn't really quote it. I just said I rushed the lead in.
I see. You're rushing. Okay, I do know that scene.
Okay,
You're rushing.
Yeah.
I also know. That's me quoting the very end of the movie.
Yeah, that scene when Miles Teller goes and then he beatboxes like the Joker.
Damn, I don't know why I thought that you were quoting this Dana Carvey in The Master of Nothing.
It's The Master of Disguise. What are you
starring Aziz Ansari.
The Master of Disguise.
What's his last name?
Aziz Ansari? He's not in that, is he?
Master of Nothing, right?
No, that's
Master of None. Master of None. That's what I was getting confused.
I forgot about that fucking movie. That's got to be like one of the worst movies ever made.
Master of None or Master of Disguise?
What am I thinking of? Well, I know Master of Disguise is one of the worst movies ever made. Master of None. No, what am I thinking of? Oh, The Love Guru. I in my head I was like picturing a completely different like movie.
Holy shit, we gotta get this is like our pop culture like short circuiting right now. That's what people are witnessing.
Somehow you said Master of None, and I thought you were talking about like the movie that was like related to the fucking Master of Disguise.
Should we just keep going with this bit? Like I'll go like, oh, Love Guru. Oh, I was thinking of MacGruber. Because they both have brown hair, and then you have to like come up with some other.
I was thinking of Don't Mess with the Zohan, because that's a problematic depiction of many cultures at once.
Wait, Zohan, is that the one where Metallica sued Napster? Oh no, I'm thinking of the early 2000s.
I literally said don't mess with the Zohan, and that wasn't even what I was actually thinking of. What's that fucking movie with the guy from fucking Borat that is like the
Jack and Jill?
No.
Bruno? Is that what
I think my favorite part of Jack and Jill, actually, now that you're mentioning it, is like the full frontal advertisement for the Caribbean cruise line that I don't remember the name of. So it was a really good advertisement, in my opinion.
You've got to agree with me on this. How much better would Jeopardy be if it was just Beavis and Butthead and they get one question on the screen in blue and then one of them answers and the other one's like, no, I think it's actually this. And then they were like, oh, well, that reminded me of this. And then the whole Jeopardy is just derailed. And like no host is in the picture. It's literally just them back and forth, just like misfiring on pop culture references.
I'm sorry. I blacked out because what you were saying like created a train of thought for me of like, what if they had an entire category on Jeopardy that was like that all ended in D's nuts jokes? Like, like every answer somehow led into D's nuts. Like this fantasy creature is known for its for the energy like it exudes, or somehow it's like, what is goblin? And then like
this quadruple A title puts people in control of a ship as they navigate these bodies of water. What is Sea of Thieves nuts? This popular format replaced the cassette tape as the primary means of distributing music.
my favorite part about that is how when they read out the category titles, they're like going through it and it's just like movies, potent potables, D's nuts. Like that's just like the category name. And then it's like, and then he explains every answer can be followed with D's nuts. And then just continues like, and no one even like breaks or comments on it at all.
They would be like so good at remembering the fucking ingredients that were used in the Ratatouille movie. But then they would be like, I'll take these nuts for 200.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able
just
to answer it. And we'd be screaming. We'd be screaming at the TV.
What is goblin? What is goblin? Like, you know.
Yeah. You've seen the clip, or maybe you're the one who sent me the clip when it was like video games was the category and the three of them like didn't know anything. Like, I'm sorry, we were looking for Halo.
It's like one of my favorite like YouTube videos of all time. It's just like constant like failing to buzz in. And it's just like, that was Destiny. It's like, oh.
That video is like the ultimate unintentional rage bait.
Right.
It's insane to watch. It's literally like scream inducing.
It's like practicing for a test, like, and then your teacher just actually hands you like some sort of pop culture quiz. And you're just like, what the fuck? I thought this was history.
Professor Tom Bowers. Today, the quiz is YouTube poops.
That's what I would do is I'd run a class and then like all the way up to the end of the year, I'd be hyping them up on like this massive final that they're going to take. And there's going to be like questions about some very specific dates and political figures and all this crap. And then I just hand out a test about K-pop demon hunters, just like name the 3 demon hunters.
I know we got to start the show, but like I'm really enjoying the space that we're living in right now. This is like very cozy to me. You're talking about cozy board games. This is like cozy talking for me.
Cozy talking is Jeopardy categories called D's nuts. That's your
pretty much like for me. I don't know. My brain's probably cooked, but you know, you got to get out of the nice warm bath at some point. So welcome to Shelf Stable, a podcast celebrating board games that have stood the test of time. I'm your host, Kenny Katayama.
And I'm the other host, Tom Bowers. Today, the feature topic is that one little rule, the tiny thing that changes everything. Before we talk about that kind of stuff, let's talk about just some stuff we've been playing recently.
Yeah, Tom, I got to play my favorite things. My favorite things from 2015.
It's like that Yorgos Lanthimos movie.
It's pretty much a board game version of that. This is designed by Daiki, Nilgiri, Aoyama, and by Pepe R. Recently discovered, thanks to Polgara's French podcast about board games, that a lot of Japanese designers, like Japanese mangaka, they like to use pseudonyms because they separate their hobby life, their creative life, from their daily work life. It's considered a little bit uncouth, or I guess just not regular to use your standard name for creative works, which is, I don't know. I think people should champion what they make, but I don't have the same culture here, so.
You know, there's like anonymity to it, a lack of celebrity. At the same time, too, it's like imagine that they came up with a game that they thought actually might suck ass, so they don't want to be associated with it.
Oh, that's true.
They could always like pivot.
They're thinking from the perspective of like, what if this sucks? Where I'm like, I want to be recognized for this thing, and I don't care if it sucks.
Yeah.
By Play for Keeps. My favorite things. It's kind of a trick taker in a very Tom sense. It's actually a lot like the game Oh Really?
Oh, really?
In the sense that it's a party game where you're going to write down on 5 cards the order of these top 5 things that you like in a category, and then one thing that's a heartbreaker, a thing that you absolutely dislike. You slide down the cards in the sleeve so that it covers up the number of the rank. And then you hand the cards to the player to your left. And so they know the category, favorite things for me to do on a first date. And they receive the cards, but they have no clue what the number is underneath each one. But they have to think about you, and they have to think about what things they think you like. And they have to play a trick-taking game with an idea of what the numbers are that are hidden in the cards. You get handed my top 5 things on a date, and you know, it's like seeing a movie, enjoying delicious food, getting my toes sucked. Nick just played Lord of the Rings as one of the favorite fictional settings. I think that's probably like a 1 or a 2. It's probably one of his favorites. Do I play eating ice cream? Because I know Kenny likes eating ice cream. Or do I play sucking toes? Is he trying to lead me astray with the sucking toes and it's actually his number 1? It's like a combination of like reading people with like learning about them. Ultimately, it's just a more gamified version of Oh Really. Like it feels very much like Oh Really, much more so than a trick-taking game. I think it is really a stretch to call it a trick-taking game because there's no suits. Each player gets a turn as the lead player. But it's really fun. It's a really creative way to learn a little bit more about people. We had a little bit of a hiccup when we played because one of the players tried to game it a little bit. Instead of like picking their top 5 and then one thing they disliked, they tried to like pick something that they would think I would think was the thing, but it wasn't. So it was like half true. And I'm like, that is not at least for me, that is not the intended design of the game. You're not trying to like trick people with what you put in there. You're just trying to be genuine and for them to suss it out. But after that, we played a second round and it was fine that time. I don't know if I prefer this to those other types of games like that. I think like Priorities is another one, if I'm not mistaken. It's adding a layer of complexity that's not necessarily needed. And it also gets a little hard to track because one person is talking about their favorite drinks to get while the other person's talking about settings, and like you have to like keep shifting your mind between the 4 categories that are at the table. I think it was fun to play as a one-time experience and I very much enjoyed it. But yeah, I think I'm still gonna stick with Oh Really. Oh Really is just a lot of fun.
Just a lot of overhead for what's ultimately a getting to like an icebreaker social.
Yeah, it feels like you're getting into pop chips territory where like it's not really that healthy, but it doesn't taste as good as chips. So like, why are we even here kind of thing?
Those are just tasteless garbage. Those are just ass.
Yeah.
Pop chips. I'm going to come out on the record. That fucking like Breaking Bad commercial they paid $8 million to have on the Super Bowl. That was them, right?
I don't know. I didn't watch.
Well, it was like a Breaking Bad, like pop chips Super Bowl commercial. I thought, no, popcorners. Oh, it's different.
Oh, I mean, it's just the same thing.
Those shits are nasty. They needed the advertising because
Jesse, we got to pop.
No word was spreading. Okay, I'm gonna talk about a game that I played recently now, Tucano, and it's published in 2021, so just on the cusp of we're introducing it to the stable life, and it's designed by Theo Riviere.
I've never heard of this game, so I'm curious. It looks like it's published by Helvetiq, and I really like their productions.
Aesthetic? Yeah. Yes, it is published by Helvetiq, Kariba, and Odin. Okay. So this is in that line of games.
It's like we have Oink at home.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that is kind of an apt comparison.
They're not going to like that.
Yeah. Tucano is interesting. At the end of the day, it is a lot like Sushi Go with a different style of drafting. It's like something in between Winstead Draft and Sushi Go, where you have 3 piles and you take a pile and then the other piles get added to. And the draft just kind of goes like that. And then there's like 3 cards that sort of mess things up for other players. So there's like 3 interactive spells, and then everything else is basically set collection. But some of the fruits and vegetables that you're ultimately trying to collecting get more points the more that you have. And some of them get less points the more of them that you have. So the interactive things like swap stuff, steal stuff, things like that, and be able to mess with people in fun ways. And you never really know what's going to come out behind you when you pick up a pile. But your only decision every turn is which pile am I going to take. One of the special cards allows you to basically lock everything that you have in, so it can't be stolen anymore, but you do have to turn it all face down. So there's like a little bit of memory to the strategy as well. A cool interactive drafting game, a game where drafting actually involves interfacing with the other players in the middle of stuff. I wasn't like in love with this game. Like, we famously love to put numbers on our ratings, and I'd say this is like a strong 6 to a light 7. But it would definitely, I think, replace Sushi Go for me if I had Sushi Go in my collection and I felt like I needed something like this, right? Same level of simplicity, but I think even easier to get set up, even easier to get going, even easier on the decision level, on the decision making, and more fun because of the little sprinkles of chaos with the interactive cards.
Do you think it's kid friendly?
I think if you played it with kids, they're just going to pick based on like what fruits they want, no matter what the actual points values are on the cards.
Which is fine.
It's like they win if they got every blueberry, right? And that's what matters to them. And I think they're valid for that, basically. So,
okay.
Tucano.
Well, Tom, I'm going to stick around in the more recent, but still shelf-stable games. We're going to talk about Dune Imperium from 2020, designed by Paul Dennen, published by Direwolf. Dune Imperium, extremely successful and popular game, pretty hot on Board Game Geek. So hot that they came out with a second edition that's kind of an expansion, but also standalone, and a lot of people say is better than this one. Debatable. I think they're both good. Dune Imperium is known for being part of that mini craze of combining deck building with worker placement. You place a worker and then you play a card, and the card has to match one of the locations that you've placed the worker on. And then you get to do what the card does, and you get to do what the worker spot does. And then cards that you didn't use for this round, you get to trigger the other part of the card. And that combination allows you to get a bunch of different goodies and different powers in the game, as well as to buy additional cards that go into your deck. The game that this often gets compared to side by side is Lost Ruins of Arnak, because they came out around the same time, and Arnak is another game that had some light deck building and worker placement as well. So I can see where the comparisons come from. I think Dune Imperium is a much more confrontational game while still being very much a Euro. Thematically, they're very different. I mean, obviously, Dune Imperium is based in the Dune universe, and I would say it does a good job of evoking that in certain places. Whereas like Arnak is very much what would you say, Tom? It's like Indiana Jones-y?
Arnak, yeah, it's like the archaeologist stuff.
If you were to ask me which one I like better, I would say I like both of them. But if you really, really push me, I would say I slightly lean to Dune Imperium. I just like how tight Dune Imperium is. That's one of the things that really stands out to me about it. There's only 10 points, but you really, really, really got to work for those points. They're not going to come easily. How am I going to get this? I do not know. I do not have enough time. I am like racing against other people to do this, and they are doing everything in their possible to make sure I can't do it. It feels like every spot is important or valuable. There are a few shortcomings of this game, but I think they're so minor that at the end of the day, I'm still just like, yeah, no, this game's really good.
Okay.
There is no built-in way to clear the row of cards. And that can get a little annoying in a game where the cards don't inherently have value at the end of the game. Like, you don't get bonus points for buying cards like you do in a lot of deck builders. What we do is we house rule, where you get the little token that they added in Dune Imperium Uprising, one of the expansions, where you can like wipe one time in the game the row to get a new set of cards to buy from. I don't think there's any reason not to have that. I'm actually one of the weird people who prefers Dune Imperium lightly to the follow-up, Uprising. I don't know what it is. I think maybe I'm just more familiar with it. It's definitely not because of like the whole shelf-stable thing. They're so close in terms of gameplay that it really just becomes what content you prefer and, you know, the slight variations between the mechanisms. I'm pretty sure Uprising will stand the test of time in comparison to this one. We're not going to be like in 5 years, like, oh yeah, no, the original was way better and Uprising is shit. Like, that's not what I'm saying. It's more just like from a preference perspective, I think Imperium has just like pared down perspective and approach to things that is somewhat refreshing. Dune Imperium is a complicated game. It has a lot of stuff moving around, but it all feels very tied to each other. Like, there's no piece of it that feels like, why is this here? Whereas like, I feel like there's a little bit of that comes up in Uprising with the spies and with the sandworms and stuff like that. But it could also be that I just haven't played Uprising enough. I'm too OG pilled.
Yeah, I like the caveat you gave, which is basically like, it's not just because I run a program where that is literally propaganda for Cult of the Old. I actually just am biased based on the game I played first and more of.
Yeah, exactly. As someone who leans on the other side, like you're definitely more of an Arnak fan.
I'd willfully play it again. I'd happily play Arnak again for what it's worth. I haven't played that in a while. In fact, I feel like I'm not quite seeing what makes it stand out over Arnak, other than maybe the sort of like battling mechanic, the kind of like little skirmish thing you can do. I don't know. I think it might just be kind of similar to what you're saying about the difference between this and the other version of Dune Imperium, which is like it just lack of familiarity with the resource puzzle.
I prefer games where there's like a very clear objective and it's hard to get to it, but you're like shooting for it. And with Arnak, it almost gets a little Feldian, almost like Daniel Tashini, where you have like a track and everything you're doing is like funneling to move up that track. And it's a long track. Whereas like Imperium, there's 10 points. The game ends when somebody hits 10. And, you know, those points, you got to climb up the bucket to get to them.
At the end of the day, like we should probably just be playing Cascadero anyway. That's what I think. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, this game has cards. Monopoly Deal has cards. Monopoly Deal is way cheaper and shorter than both of these.
And really, when you really get down to brass tacks, they're both fundamentally trick-taking games.
Exactly.
You trick your opponents into taking bad actions that benefit you.
That's Dune Imperium.
Speaking of tricking your opponents into taking cards that are not optimal for them, I got to play El Grande from 1995.
The Big!
I love my personal waffling between the bleeding edge of what we consider shelf stable and the 90s, which is at this point is ancient history, as I've been told. This is also designed by Richard Ulrich, published by Hans M. Gluck, and El Grande is a certified classic, a true 100 games contender. 100 games be longer. I don't even think it'll ever fall off. And in fact, it's in the Board Game Geek Top 100 despite being from the 90s, which is actually kind of a huge feat because there's not a lot of them on there anymore. It's good. I actually was like surprised that this is as old as it is. You know, even though I've like probably looked at his Board Game Geek page like 20 times since we started this show.
Why did you just channel like report of the week energy there? Like, what was that pause is what I want to know. Like you were like crunching the numbers in your head of like how you're going to deliver this.
I know. Don't ask me, man. I'm not caffeinated enough, I think, for everything to be at full capacity. It's
funny because you were so verbose leading up to the thoughts. And then it's like a short circuit.
I mean, what can you say about El Grande? It's area control, which is actually a mechanic that I feel like I struggle to appreciate. I mean, you know, we famously love to talk about how much I hate Ethnos, for example. That is an area control kind of game where just like having the majority of your pieces in that region is how you know you are winning. And this is exactly that. And this definitely has, I think, some of those frustrations, but you're actually not really, I guess like it doesn't feel as boring and painful as Ethnos does to put your pieces into the region, because the card effects are what you actually care about. You're looking at the combination of cards that are coming out on this shared row, and you and your opponents are all going to be drafting these cards, but you're not going to be drafting them in turn order. You're going to be drafting them based on how much you're effectively bidding on them. But it's not really exactly bidding. It's like you're holding up numbers, and then you don't get to use that number anymore. And so you know, if you've been paying attention, when someone has burnt themselves out of having, you know, their 13 high, and you're like, oh my God, I can guaranteed get that card. Oh, but if they know that I can guaranteed get that card, they might lowball a little bit. But it's not blind. It's like there's still a turn order. So if I go low trying to save my card, blah, blah, blah. There's just so much to think about turn over turn that like basically the resolution of like moving the pieces around the board is secondary concern, which I think is a cool, I don't know if that's exactly what they're going for, almost like a political it's political maneuvering that ends in what are meant to feel a little bit like battles, but it's not really warfare in the risk sense or anything like that. It's just literally
I would agree with
maneuvering.
that. Yeah.
I suppose your voting blocks in a way or something like that. And it's crazy how you can see people sort of like rebound or like come up from behind almost out of nowhere, just because they were planting the seeds turn over turn, and now they found that they hit the right stuff at the right time to have these explosive runs. Or the little castle comes down. It's like surprise attack. Like
the Castillo.
They were building up in there. Really cool how this game plays out. Yeah, I'm glad I finally got around to it, and I'm excited to play it some more.
I'm like you, where I'm not typically huge on area control, but I think El Grande strikes like to the core of what makes area control fun for me. But then again, I've been really enjoying a lot of area control games that I've been playing recently. So maybe I just haven't been playing the right area control games. Maybe my perspective of area control is akin to a normie's perspective of Monopoly as being the board game standard. And there's somebody out there that's like, you're not playing the right games. You got to play El Grande. You got to play King is Dead. You got to play... there's other ones I like. Can't think of them right now.
Yeah. I mean, have you played Revolution by...
I have not.
Steve Jackson Games, the publisher. That's a cool one. It's not as good as El Grande, so, probably a bad comparison to be making in the moment. But for area control, it's pretty neat. The sort of rock, paper, scissors, hidden behind screen stuff going on is cool. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say about area control games. I'm much more interested in them if they are ways of mechanically expressing political maneuvering, not negotiation, not like the kind of political browbeating or like the stuff you can get into where it's like, hey, don't go there or else I'll like enact revenge. Instead of those kind of politics where it's just more calculated or calculatable, I think that's where I like area control, I guess.
I think I like those aspects too.
As a resolution of movement mechanisms. That's what I'm trying to say.
When in doubt, go back to the meme way of saying things. That was El Grande, 1995.
100 games to play before you die.
All right, Kenny, it's time to talk about the 100 games that you are required by law to play before you turn 100 years old and or die. David Attenborough is not someone I meant to call out by name, but I believe he is 99. So get on it.
Oh.
Yep, turns 100 on the 8th of May. I'm sorry, I did not mean to curse you, but it's too late now, so I'm not going to take it back.
How's Dick Van Dyke doing, by the way?
Dick Van Dyke's still alive, as far as I know. I would know if he died, I feel like.
So the curse is over, I feel like.
But see, Dick Van Dyke turned 100, and that's when we started saying his name. Now, I fucked up and said David Attenborough when he's still alive, but he's 99.
Oh,
so hopefully...
You've written his name in the death note, is what you're saying.
I guess so. I mean, I really hope he holds out for another couple of months because, he was just going to start War of the Ring with me like next weekend. So
I'll get on that.
Yeah. But game number 66 on this list, and David Attenborough's favorite probably, is Race for the Galaxy from 2007. It was designed by Tom Lehmann and published by Rio Grande Games. Kenny, why the frick is Race for the Galaxy on the list?
Great question. We've never talked about Race for the Galaxy on this podcast ever.
I'm always saying, like, famously, we don't talk about Race for the Galaxy enough. So
I think this might have been one of the first games we talked about. It's also a game that we've brought up a number of times. Often favorably, like, why would you play this when you could just play Race? Or, I played another game of Race, lost again, still love it. Look, it is kind of hard to understand when you haven't played it before. Like, this game is written hieroglyphics intentionally. Like, they wanted to really evoke the alien feeling of racing through the galaxy. And so the cards have like symbols on them instead of explaining what they do. But on the flip side, when you understand the symbols, you can be like extra gatekeepy and be like, oh, you don't understand what we're playing? Have you even played Race for the Galaxy?
I'm always a huge fan of that. That's why I listen to Radiohead, for example. Sorry. I just had to throw that in there. Threw you off.
Race is on the list because of Tom Lehmann. We would definitely want to showcase Tom Lehmann. very impactful on the hobby and has very kind of like characteristic design principles. And then also, it's kind of one of the biggest multi-use card representations. It's also one of the biggest everybody does the same action at the same time.
Phase selection.
This is popularized by Puerto Rico. Originally, Race was supposed to be a Puerto Rico card game, but then Tom Lehmann had disagreements with the direction that was going in and decided to do his own spin-off and wanted to do a space theme. This is like when space themes weren't super popular. He kind of went out there and did this, and it happened to really resonate with people. It's funny because then this came back and informed the card game, which became San Juan, which is like the Puerto Rico card game. So there's kind of this weird triangle going on with Puerto Rico, Race, and San Juan.
They call that the Bermuda Triangle, I think.
Yes. Good job, Tom. I think Race does a lot of things in this spot. It showcases Tom Lehmann's approach to kind of making the most out of something. It also showcases the level of diligence with which he fine-tunes his games. It feels like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. We don't have like the numbers, we don't have the logs, but it feels like there's a lot more development that goes in than the average board game with Tom Lehmann's. To a point where like I am surprised that he doesn't get exhausted with the playtesting that he does. But on the flip side, you get games like Race for the Galaxy or Res Arcana where people will play them thousands of times and not get bored. Because after playing a game 1,000 times, you kind of either have to give up on it or you have to fine tune it so that it doesn't feel boring to experience at that point. I think that's kind of Tom Lehmann's approach. He just like beats a dead horse until it's perfect, which is, it's the vibe. It's definitely an ambitious approach to design, but you can feel it in a lot of what he does. I can't say enough about how much this game is beautiful and great and amazing and how much depth it has. Like, I mean, seriously, if you've never played Race, it's worth trying, even if it ends up not being the thing you like.
Race for the Galaxy is a good game, and people should definitely be playing it over Puerto Rico.
It's Race for the Galaxy.
Okay, real quick, before we get into the main topic, I want to inform people and possibly remind people that I will be at SaltCon. SaltCon is in Salt Lake City, Utah.
What is SaltCon? I'll take these nuts for 400.
It's March 12th through the 15th. 4 days of non-stop gaming at the Davis Convention Center in Layton, Utah. Probably tickets are already sold out, but if you're going to be there, I want you to email us at shelfstablecast@gmail.com. I'd be happy to jam some games. I know we have some patrons in our Discord. Person who said that they're going to be at SaltCon. We'll meet up, play some games. Yeah, I'll be there. We're not doing a live show like we did last time. It's just going to be me hanging out. No Kenny. Sorry.
I'm babying it up.
Yeah. If you don't know what I look like, just follow me on Blue Sky at CyberDac.
Yeah, if you don't know what he looks like, look for the dweeb.
Yeah, look for the fucking weird guy. I will on at least one of those on at least one of those days. I'll be wearing my shirt that says "The Real Meat and Potatoes." I'll almost definitely be wearing my Sickos sweater as well if I can.
I love the idea of one of our listeners like walking up to a random person being, "Excuse me, are you Tom?" Because they're being
he just
like,
said, "Look for the weird guy," and you fit. Like
you seem like a really cringe person, so I thought maybe you were Tom. You kind of sound like him.
Did a fucking bullshit, whatever the hell Kenny's reading off right now. It's time to get into the real meat and potatoes of this episode. The part of the podcast people come back week after week to actually fucking listen to, and that's the main topic of the episode, the real meat and potatoes. I already said that. And that's this week, that's the one little rule. Shout out Tom Brewster for making a social media post.
Yeah, this was inspired by Tom Brewster Skeet, where he said, if someone hits me with a pronounced however during a rules teach, I start salivating like Pavlov's fucking loser. That was his Skeet.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking, like, what are those games? What are the ones where you're like, oh? And then you took it an extra step where you were like, it could also be like, oh, you know, like it could have the reverse effect sometimes. You said that. I don't know if you actually were like going anywhere with that. I was definitely thinking of it like, but then you were like...
I do, hilariously enough, I did think about this for a little bit, and I did come up with a game that I think has like one little exception like that literally completely,
like
and this is a good pun, derails the fucking game hard. So, okay.
Do you want to just start with that?
Sure, why not? Whistle Stop is the game that I'm referencing. Long-time listeners will know that I've already talked about this before.
Whistle is what you do when you hear the rules, and stop is what you do when you finish reading the rules and don't understand how to play it.
That's the thing about this game, is that it is this very straightforward, overall, Carcassonne-esque tile-laying game that has this interesting pick up and deliver thing going on at the same time. All these different railroad tracks that are like intersecting, bumping into each other or whatever. And you're moving your train from, left to right or whatever. It's probably right to left. But there is a mechanic in this game that lets your train go faster in one direction. But there's another token that you can spend. And I think it's literally the whistles in the game that let your train go backwards. But the way the rules are written to describe the exception, it's like your train can never only move left unless you spend a whistle to move it backwards, like go, turn it around. The rules are so unclear about the timing structure of how these whistles are meant to be used that the last time I tried playing this, and I remember liking this originally when I first got it. So I don't know if like my brain just like decayed significantly in between play sessions. But last time I tried to pull this out, I was just like, wait, what? Like, how will this work with this? And I can't even recall the details right now, but it led me down this rabbit trail where I'm like digging through Board Game Geek forums, and someone posts like a clarification on how they interpreted the rules. Then the designer said like, you have it mostly right, except for like section 3, subsection A should actually be this. And then they replied, okay, in that case, wouldn't it also change section 1, subsection B? And it just like, and it's this back and forth between like the forum user and the designer that goes on for like 20 posts. It's insane. And by the end of it, I like still was not even all that clear on like how exactly this was supposed to work. And I just literally was like, guys, I don't want to, this is my birthday and I don't want to finish playing this game. I'm the one that pulled it out, and I don't want to finish it. I don't care anymore. So yeah, so that was like a game where like the one little exception collapsed the entire game before my eyes.
I wasn't in that game, fortunately, but I remember you all getting really excited to play it and then having to like literally all be on your phones on the same forum post, like scrolling silently for like 20 minutes before giving up on it.
That's how you know you're having a good time. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. It's kind of weird to start with a one, but let's do it.
The audience react.
I think a lot of modern trick-taking games fall into this category where you're like, oh, it's just like a trick-taking game, except, and then everybody's eyebrows raise. Cat in the Box is like this. We've talked about Cat in the Box before. It's definitely one where you feel like, okay. And then you're like, wait, all the cards are the same color. And you're like, well, they're not. You actually announce what the color is. And then people go, what? But even better, because then after that, you explain that you can get a bonus if you bid correctly, if you do the area control thing correctly and your pieces are orthogonally adjacent to each other. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, what? You can hit them twice with the however in Count in the Box. Some others, I mean, a lot of trick takers are like this. I'm not going to list a bunch of them, but another one is Ghosts of Christmas, which I don't actually like this game, but it definitely gave me the moment when you tell them, oh, you're doing 3 tricks at the same time. And then they're going to resolve in order, but you can decide which one you play to out of order. That like breaks people's brains. And they don't even know what to do at that point. And then they play a little bit more and they still don't know what to do. And then the last one I had here was Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude, the clever thing, which I guess like Pu Mafiosi does this too, but it's like you're doing a trick, but you don't want to win the trick. You want to get second in the trick. And then that's already like, ooh, that's like, it's a little spicy, but then you're like, and then you're going to get points, if you successfully take all these tricks. But here's the catch. You don't want to win the game. You want to get as close to the top of the board without winning the game. You want to be in second place. And then people go, oh, it's meta. And then they get tickled by that. So yeah, we could go on and on about trick takers, but I think trick takers are ripe for this. Everybody that like plays a decent amount of games has like the internalized structure for trick taking, and then it becomes breaking that, or what is the exception. So
how have we not like, well, you're going to tell me a game that does exist right after I say this. It's like, how have we not hit like a trick-taking legacy game? Like, I understand the Two Towers and all that are like story-driven trick takers.
Yeah, there's Sail Legacy.
Sail Legacy?
Which I think is fulfilling right now, so.
Oh, that's like crowdfunding. Damn, okay, so someone's on it. Yeah, I was going to say, because you can really tell like a story, obviously, with trick-taking. So it's wild that someone hasn't like fully capitalized on having mechanics that are like irreversible specifically.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sail Legacy is this.
You got to invent like a trick-taking game that involves eating candy. Irreversible consequences there.
I don't think that one exists. Maybe that's the untapped resource.
I'm on it. I'm going to work this into brass steel. This does make me think, I was going to say it's kind of adjacent to this. It's not exactly like a however type moment during the teach necessarily. But I always think of Pandemic.
Oh, this is a good one.
I was going to say my favorite way to teach Pandemic is to get it all set up, have people start playing the game by teaching them the game actions, showing them what they can do, kind of walking them through the thought process or whatever. And then just waiting till the epidemic hits, revealing the fact that all of the infected cities are going to go back on top of the deck. And every time that I have taught this to people that have not necessarily played a ton of games aside of Monopoly and Monopoly Deal, they're like, what? Like, wait a second. That means that all of these cities that are already in bad shape are going to get worse? Like, it delights me every time.
I think that's a pretty notable one. Yeah, I agree with this. This might be the first... Oh, no, that's not true. I have another one I'm going to list that... It's one of the first moments I had in board gaming. So I'm glad you bring this one up.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at the other one that happened pretty early. The first time you play a deck building game. This is one that we almost don't think about anymore. You build like certain heuristic that like things that you acquire either come out into a tableau or like they just get played. There's not really this injection. But that moment when you're like, okay, and then the cards you buy, they go into the trash, and guess what? You run out of cards, you shuffle your discard pile, you shuffle your trash, and that becomes your new deck. There's just like an unlocking moment for a lot of people of like, oh my goodness, like you're telling me I'm shopping for stuff and it's going to come back up in my deck later on. Like, that's so cool. Especially for people who like grew up on collectible card games where you customize your own deck. The idea that you can have some of that experience, but it happens in media res, that it happens in real time as you are playing the game versus something that happens prior to the game happening is like an unlock moment for a lot of people of like, what is this? This is crazy. And of course now, we're over it. It's been internalized into the heuristics of board gaming.
I concur. It's given me an interesting concept. This is tangential essentially, but I was like, what if you could draft Magic the Gathering, but the first draft was like all lands and mana rocks, and then the second draft was like you had to buy the cards by paying their mana costs. So there's like 2 layers to like drafting.
I wrote the rules to a variant that I called the Magic, and I had like a special cube built that had a lot of ETB effects, and it worked pretty well. It was based on Dice Masters. But yeah, I can send those rules to you if you want. I still have them somewhere.
Yeah, interesting design concept for a weird Magic cube. But no, I agree. The deck building phenomenon, I think, was eye-opening for me.
You have another one?
For Sale is easily in this category of just sort of surprising, delighting people with the rules itself.
This is another one where you kind of do a rolling teach like Pandemic.
Yeah, you can do it that way. I think I have experienced it, to be fair, where some people are like, well, why am I doing the first part at all? And it's like, well, we're going to sell our houses in the second half. The bigger the number, the better. But it's not exactly guaranteed how much you're going to get paid for them. And keep it like somewhat vague. Make it, you don't wink at them and go, you'll see. Oh, you'll see.
Now remember, if you're trying to find Tom at SaltCon,
that is how I'll be teaching you my games. John Company, just like, yeah. And so I think in this game you play as John or maybe the company. We'll figure it out as we go.
Oh yeah, so you were saying For Sale. Is that it for your thought, or you?
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy when a game has like two halves to it, essentially, right? What other games have like this two halves bit going on where it's like, okay, in the first half you're doing this, in the second half you're doing this,
It's not super common.
Galaxy
honestly.
Trucker, maybe?
Yeah, Galaxy Trucker does this.
In part 1, you're scrounging around, and in part 2, you're building stuff with the stuff you scrounged. I think more games could explore this. I think more trick-taking games could explore this concept as well, actually, now that I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Imagine a trick-taking game where like the first half is a scrounging around type of thing.
I'm sorry, Tom. I'm pretty sure.
That's For Sale, I think.
I do think that there's also Trick Taker. Claim from 2017. Yeah. Scott Ames. But yeah, you're playing like a 2-player Trick Taker, and the cards that you obtain via that trick taking, you're going to use in the second round.
Yeah, okay. Adding it to the wanted playlist.
All right. I got another one for you, Tom. I think Knizia is often like, for a lot of those things. There's like one little
Classic
thing at the end.
Dr. Knizia moment.
Especially when it's like scoring. One that really comes to mind amongst many is High Society. Because you're playing High Society, you're like, oh, we're doing this auction. We're trying to get all the points. Whoever has the most points wins. But if you spent the most money at the end, you're eliminated. Doesn't matter how well you did. And so there's this dance of like, did I spend the most money? I want to have the most points without being the one that spent the most money. There's those like two factors that you're fighting against at the same time. The moment when you tell people that the person who spent the most is shamed and eliminated, everybody at the table is like, oh, okay. Up until now, it was just kind of an auction game, but now I get it. There's a thing here. There's this thing. I think High Society exemplifies what Knizia is so good at doing. Tiny rules, a juicy moment.
Little scoring complications. It's probably a Knizia game.
I can be negative too, Tom.
Oh, okay.
Games that super excite me, I'm like, oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. And then they have that rule that says players will be randomly divided into pairs. If you're playing with an odd number, a person will sit out each round. After that, depending on who won, they will get an advantage, and then they will rotate and play another player. That just feels so dated to me. And it's funny because like, I don't mind it when we play like Magic, or we play like these 2-player games, or we do like a tournament and people play each other in Swiss rounds. For some reason, like there's like a mental separation for those. But if it's like a board game that's self-contained and you take it out of the box and it tells you to do that, I'm like instantly out. Baseball Highlights, we played this, Tom. I really liked Baseball Highlights, the game. I did not like that it told you to match up with another player. Right. Challengers does this. That's a more recent one, New Game Alert. I don't get it. Like, we're here to play this game together. Either let's play 2 separate 2-player games, or let's play a game all together as 4 players. Don't tell us to have like these like bouts where we separate each other for like 20 minutes. I guess in Challengers it's shorter, but like it feels like we're like arbitrarily segmenting ourselves for the sake of this game functioning.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with this. I think the reason that this happens with singular board games, but not like we're going into a game night expecting it to be a Swiss or a round robin type of tournament. One, it's probably expectation setting, but I think the other factor is like you're still in the one game. So you're playing quote unquote baseball highlights, but you're sitting there doing literal nothing because the pairing doesn't work out or something. I think like being in that mindset where you're like, I'm in a game, but I'm literally not doing anything is just really hard.
Well, even if you are doing something, it's like you're doing something with one person, but then there's two people next to you that are just completely not engaged with you. Like it just feels a little weird. Yeah,
something feels a bit off. I feel like I don't mind it as much in baseball highlights as some of these other ones you mentioned, but I definitely felt that way when we were trying to play Millennium Blades last time. But that's not even... Millennium Blades is like, it plays out like games of Commander, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like Millennium Blades would benefit from it being exclusively 1v1 and getting rid of a lot of the cards that affect multiple players. But then it would run into this problem. I think no matter what, Millennium Blades has a problem.
Basically, the moral of the story is don't play Millennium Blades. It's overhyped.
Play Millennium Blades as 2 players, which I know is a lot to ask because it's so much to set up. I have one other like deflator, which you're not going to be surprised by. I don't even think our listeners are going to be surprised by. The games that came to mind are Vast Crystal Castles and Bargain Quests. And the two things that those have in common is that they're like decently designed games where they feel like they follow a lot of like elegant heuristics. And then they just have this random rule where they're like, when you try to do this, you're going to flip over the top card of this chance deck. And depending on what comes up, you're either going to have a super awesome, cool thing that happens, or literally the game tells you die. I'm dumbfounded by this sudden introduction of what feels like a very outdated system.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, there's design principles and you should follow them. And, you know, these things, you never want to put these in games. Like, I think like roll and move can be used really well when it's used correctly, and player elimination can be really good. But one thing I really can't get behind is games that have just like an intense amount of variance in terms of a random outcome, especially when that variance feels like it goes from negative to positive. If it's only positive numbers or only negative numbers, I'm less annoyed by it, I would say. But when the deck can vary from like -5 to +5, I'm like way more irritated than if it varies from 0 to 10 for some reason. And both Vast Crystal Castles and Bargain Quest have this, where they have like a deck. I think for Vast, it's like one of the characters. It might be the knight. And for Bargain Quest, it's like the skill check, I think. Both of them drive me up a wall. I almost wonder if the game is playable without it, where you can just give like a standard boon or like a less variable boon.
Yeah, it probably is, because like that's the other thing about these games. I guess I can't speak to Vast, but I have played Bargain Quest. It's definitely like a huge point of frustration where it's just like, okay, swing your sword, you might miss. And there's no like real, from what I can recall, like mitigation of that. Like there's not even the ability for you to feel clever in any meaningful way because, you know, you went out of your way to buy the armor that says if you roll a negative, you know, double it and give it to the next person instead or something like that. There's nothing going on that can really sort of like pay off or like I said, just make you feel player or make you feel like you thought ahead to this exact scenario with the outcomes that come out.
Yeah.
There's no way to like manipulate it or like fix the top of the deck or anything like that. Or, you know, try and like mitigate bad outcomes. That's where it falls apart for sure. It's just like there's no mitigation. There's no cleverness. It's just like, good game, and then all of a sudden you're in a combat mechanic that is, you might as well just be rolling dice and risk again.
Yeah.
Like, why do we waste that much time just to get back to this point?
This is not me saying like don't have randomness output in games. I'm not at that extreme, but I think like have it in a measured way where you more or less know what the likelihood of the outcomes are, and it's not a huge range. And then furthermore, don't make it a range between like this shit ruins your day to like this is amazing and I just lucked into it.
Well, I think the other factor of it too is like think about what you're asking from your players. Like how much time are they going to be dedicating and how much sort of mental energy are they going to be putting into building themselves up to prepare for what they know is a coming battle. And then
a top
you're
deck.
just handing them like a random pile of like, let's see what happens, and it's not affected by the choices they made leading into this. That is dumb.
Think we got time for one more?
Yeah, let's try and end it on a little bit of a positive note.
Yeah. What about this? Ethnos. Because you'd mentioned Ethnos earlier when you were talking about El Grande.
Yeah, famously, I love to hate it.
Yeah, I don't know why you hate Ethnos, but for me, Ethnos, like you're explaining the game, you're like, okay, you can take cards or you can play cards. When you play cards, you put things out on the board. But then you tell them the cards you don't use go back out into the market and anyone can take them. For me, that was an aha moment where I was like, oh, so you can't just keep drawing. It's not like Ticket to Ride where you can just build a super hand of 20 cards if you wanted to and then start putting trains. Like you gotta give it up at some point when you place your first thing. And so there's almost like a push your luck aspect that gets worked into the game very naturally. Like it's not anywhere in the rules, but it's just like if you keep pulling, you're just wasting time at a certain point because you're not going to get to keep everything. You're just going to get to play this stuff that you need to play, and then your other stuff is up for grabs from other people. Best case scenario, they don't touch it. You still have to spend your turns, your actions to draw that stuff back up into your hand. So you want to be efficient. I think this is what makes Ethnos stand out for me and why I prefer Ethnos to Ticket to Ride. But I digress. I know that you are less impressed by this.
I don't know what it is exactly, but I think the fatal flaw for Ethnos for me is that, okay, it's really sick, like card drafting mechanisms, kind of like you're mentioning. I think I even agree with you that like the whole, whatever set you use, the rest of them go back out into piles. That's fine. That's great. Ticket to Ride even could probably be made more interesting trying a variant that mimics Ethnos. But then it's like in service of what? Making your stack of discs go up by one? It pisses me off when it gets to that part.
Yeah, you just really don't like the output of it, which is fine. I mean, I get that.
It just feels like it's like a ton of work to get completely middling effects. It's like a game where nothing happens. I just like, I don't know that I'm ever going to be sold on this. I understand that like it's kind of funny since I do like Ticket to Ride for some reason, but I think like the visual aesthetic, the appeal of Ticket to Ride is like ultimately you get to see your connections come through and like there can be people blocking you and stuff like that. And I feel like Ethnos doesn't have any of that drama.
I will agree with you on that point. I think Ticket to Ride is stronger than Ethnos in that like the positions of the trains and the fact that you see that network build itself is much stronger than just number go up in 8 or so different regions. It's funny because despite it being a quote unquote area majority game, there really is no locational relevance for Ethnos.
But maybe that's the other thing about it.
It's really,
I don't know,
what it really is tracks to the point where when they made Archaeos Society, which is a re-implementation of Ethnos, they literally just made it tracks. And then people were like, well, I liked it better when it was a map, but
I feel like you could almost get me on Ethnos by redoing it, and then like the theme of the game is that you're like smacking that thing at the carnival with the hammer. You're like trying to ring the bell, and it's like everyone's like racing to ring the bell.
Is this 8 carnival games?
Something like that. Anyway,
Tom Bauer's known Ethnos hater.
It's a mid game with a mid theme, and I don't understand why it's been printed like 5 fucking times. Like it's kind of insane compared to some other titles. I think we got into this with Asa Bassa. He was saying that they could use another one despite everything.
Yes, I agree with him. I think there are problems with all 3 versions.
What's funny is like I think I also agree in a weird way, as in like we don't actually need another Ethnos, but they still haven't done Ethnos right for whatever. Somehow they've failed their own.
It's kind of crazy. All right, we're gonna get Ethnos right this time, and they mess up something new.
Yeah.
The most recent one, some of the colors are really hard to parse, and like the cards are like unreadable. It's not like a preference thing. It's like something that was like overlooked. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's the curse of Ethnos. Maybe they're just going to keep making new versions and they're always going to have like something
Like
new.
one thing that's like mildly annoying. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you everybody for listening to all of that. Thank you especially to Michael, Tyler, Devon, and Josh of the Boise RainBeaus for your cool segue music. And I want to thank you to Bonehouse for letting us use your song Rot as our opening theme.
Yeah, if you're liking the casts, talk about us. Mention us on Reddit. Be like, hey, this is a funny podcast that also sometimes has some smart things to say.
Well, I don't know about that last part, but...
I said sometimes. You can also reach out to us directly at shelfstablecast@gmail.com. All this and more available in the show notes. And if you like what we're doing, consider subscribing on Patreon. Get access to bonus content and Discord. Tom, I think we have a special guest next week.
That's right. We're going to talk about why it's good to be bad at games. That's what it was. Yeah, so the special guest.
All right.
Look forward to that.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.